Welcome to Forensic Friday,
where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all. Hi.
Hi.
We have a lot to talk about today, but first of all, I wanted to get caught up.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had already a crazy weekend, huh? You went boarding today, snowboarding.
First time in 2 seasons.
I know you were very happy, I feel like.
I was.
Were you living your best life?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like riding a bike? Do you just snap back to where you were?
Yeah. Yeah. The first run I was pretty slow because I was nervous, but
Yeah, I bet.
then we got, a couple good runs in and then we took a lunch break. Then we got back out there and it's kind of crazy because like in the afternoon crowd, skiing and snowboarding is like a little bit more wild.
I could see that.
Also, people have been drinking all morning.
Yep.
And so we were on I think it was our I think it was our last run. But we like on our foot, so right before we took the last run, we got lunch. And
Yeah.
we went up to the top of the mountain to get lunch, so we were on the gondola. And these girls sitting across from us on the gondola were like hammered. And I looked at Sarah and I was like, we should not be on the mountain with them.
No, they're like a
Yeah.
hazard.
No, yeah, they are. But people do that and it like drives me a little crazy. So I was glad we got there early. We did the morning thing.
Yeah.
Did one run in the afternoon, but it was really just to get down after lunch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have probably just called it a day.
I get that. I get that.
Oh, wow,
Well,
but we had fun.
huh?
I said people just get a little wild, but we had fun.
Well, I'm glad. I cleaned all day, much to the chagrin of the men in my life. Mac and Gare are not thrilled, but I did so much. I went through our whole bathroom. I'm doing my closet,
Wow,
bedroom, office, all the things.
good job.
There's probably a little bit of work avoidance in there
Mm,
somewhere
mm.
because we have so much coming up in the next couple of months, and I'm like, I need a clean house or I won't be able to focus.
Yep.
So my publisher surprised me with a cup.
I know it's so cute.
Cute. So we're writing. Tina read it, and so the first two attempts I made, because that's how ADHD people do things. I basically wrote something really technical. I kind of had to get that out of my system to then write the stories.
Mhm.
And the book is going to be a lot of firsthand stories, but like constellations of clients. Obviously, it's not about any specific client, but it's kind of a hodgepodge of various experiences that I've had. And quite frankly, you've had some of them with me.
Yeah.
But my mom read it and she's like, no notes.
No,
She
no.
loved it.
Good.
I know. And then Garrett did have some, but they were so good. He read it and he drew a heart on one of the sections. He liked it so much.
Oh,
I'm like, you're precious. He also came home with flowers yesterday for Friday the 13th.
I was gonna ask if you guys went on a date.
No, we were cleaning. This year, this year we're cleaning and working.
Right.
But he came walking in with flowers and I was like, "What are those for?" And he's like, "It's Friday the 13th," which was
Yeah,
so
I
sweet.
noticed that.
So sweet.
Good.
What else was I going to tell you? Oh, this week you and I have a bananas week because we're in training with probation to learn all the new standards really
Yeah.
for DV treatment in Colorado. And on Tuesday, I'm taking Bear to get his therapy dog training all day, 9 to 6.
Dang.
So I had to order, I got his little vest. Huh?
Which day?
Tuesday,
Uh-oh.
9 to 6. I know. I was like, can I bring a lawn chair? And also, I don't know anything. I don't know how to train him. They're like, bring treats. I'm like, what did he say? He said, bring a treat belt. I'm like, can I bring a belt bag? Like, what are we talking about? I don't have like a fanny pack with treats. I don't know what I'm doing. But he said he's going to help train him. And then one of the things Bear's going to do is basically just be a distraction for the
Mm,
other dogs. So he will help them stay focused because they're going to have to keep rerouting the dogs away from Bear.
yeah.
but I had to get, it's not a vest, harness. Harness is what I meant to say. See, I
Mm,
don't know any of the dog things, but it's a harness and it says like therapy dog in training with his name.
cute.
He's
That's
so
awesome.
cute. I know. So basically, what I
Mm-hmm.
want to do in our little mini
Mm-hmm.
is a rehash a presentation that the fabulous Sandy Campanella did. And if you don't know, we did a couple episodes with her that were amazing and ridiculous, and she's one of my heroes, and I love her
Mhm.
so much. And she did a presentation that I got to hear last week, and it was about Women's History Month. So I knew about International Women's Day because we went to a dinner with some of our girlfriends. I didn't know that it's Women's History Month.
Mm,
And honestly, it's kind of sad how little I know about our history as women, but Sandy kind of broke it down.
that's
So
cool.
it's kind of a bummer. Some of it's kind of a bummer,
Mm,
really. But then I think where we're landing is pretty great. So I wanted to run you through just a couple things in our history that I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was as late as it was kind of the theme.
yeah.
So in 1769, basically what happened is when women got married, they sort of disappeared. They were sort of incorporated into all of their husbands' things.
Mm-hmm.
So women couldn't own property, sign contracts, keep wages, any of that.
Wow.
She was an extension of her husband.
Mm,
That's how women were seen. So then in 1776, Abigail Adams, John Adams' wife, as he was drafting all of the nation's founding documents,
mm-hmm.
she made a plea to him. And this is what she said: remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power into the hands of husbands. Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation. And he dismissed her and called her amusing.
Wow.
Yeah, history has not found that amusing. Women are like, absolutely not. Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, as voting starts to be a thing, and we have this new union, we have these laws.
Mm-hmm.
In 1777, every state took a woman's rights away to vote, every single state. So in the colonial period, some states had allowed property owning women to vote. We took that away from women
Wow.
in 1777. Okay.
Dang.
So I'm going to jump ahead a bit. There's a whole bunch of interesting stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we kind of move through, you can see women are fighting all the time, fighting, 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 just to have a voice. So as the 20th century opens, women start organizing, agitating, refusing to accept their exclusion from public life. And
Mm-hmm.
so the suffrage movement started, right? So in 1900, women start getting their property rights back.
Mm, that's cool.
Slowly, 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 but surely. But they'd been fighting for 50 years to own what they had earned.
Dang.
Yeah. First woman in Congress, 1916, Jeanette Rankin. We love the name Jeanette. It's like Jeanette
Mm-hmm.
Barrett, one of our favorite women. But this was still before women could vote. So we had a woman in Congress, but women couldn't vote still. Okay. We jump forward a little bit more. So this is the biggest thing. And this is where Sandy, I think, really talked about some things I'd never thought about before. So in 1941 to 45, we had Rosie the Riveter. So we had all of these women, right? All the men are fighting in the war, and the women go to work.
Mm,
And they work really, really, really hard,
mm-hmm.
really hard. And they're doing engineering things, they're decoding intelligence, they're building ships, they're running whole factories and industrial operations. When the war ended, more than half of those women, particularly those in the better paying jobs, were let go.
Hmm.
Men were given their positions back and got veterans benefits, as they should have, right? They should have gotten their benefits and subsidized mortgages. Women were sent home and told to be grateful. And so, what happened in the 50s, when you think about pinups and aprons and the 1950s housewife, all of the cultural machinery starts going, you want to be a stay at home wife, you want to be a housewife,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
Also, those women got on Valium in record numbers. That's a thing that happened. So in 1948, women were allowed to serve in the military. So even though their work goes down,
Mhm.
then we see this kind of military service and some other things go up a little. So those are interesting. They kind of play together.
Yeah.
So we all know about the baby boomers, right? In the 60s, we have this huge boom in women having babies. And a lot of our parents, my parents are boomers, right? So we have this whole generation of tons and tons and tons of babies, right?
Mhm.
But then going into the late 60s, early 70s, we start going into the civil rights and liberation era, right? So in 1963, we had the Equal Pay Act. And what that's supposed to be, right, was employers paying men and women the same amount for the same work.
Mhm.
So they were starting to work on the gender wage gap, which still exists.
Mhm.
It still exists, but we're just starting to work on it a little bit. We at least tried to make it illegal. It wasn't until 1965 that Black women got their voting rights
Wow.
back. So white women had been able to vote for a bit, but not Black women.
Mm.
Title IX in 1972,
Mhm.
right? Roe v. Wade, 73.
Mhm.
It wasn't until 1974 that women could have their own credit cards. And we tell our groups this.
Yeah.
We tell our groups this because they don't understand that. They really don't get that. Men don't
Right.
have any concept of that. If
Mm-mm.
it was surprising to me, it's going to be super surprising to a man,
Yeah.
right? 1983, Sally Ride, first woman in space, right?
Mhm.
RBG, 1993. I'm fixing to read her book. It's amazing. I'll send it to you, or you can read it after I do, but she's an incredible human being. Violence Against Women Act. This is huge for our work.
Mhm.
1994. Before the Violence Against Women Act, domestic violence was treated like a private family matter.
Mhm.
Police didn't arrest people. It was just sort of an in the home thing.
Right.
And it wasn't until 94 that we started having things like shelters, hotlines, legal services, that kind of stuff. Law enforcement started to be empowered to intervene
Mhm.
in gender-based crimes.
Is that when is that when they started the mandatory arrest?
Mm-mm. That's
Okay.
later. Yeah.
Okay. I knew it was like really recent.
But it wasn't really illegal until this. Like, even if somebody was
Right.
arrested, prosecutors often would decline to charge
Right.
the person and not help the survivor.
Which is insane.
No. 2007, Nancy Pelosi, first female Speaker of the House. However you feel about her, she was she was the first
Yeah.
female Speaker of the House, which is something. And then in our contemporary era, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't until the Affordable Care Act in 2010 that women had access to birth control that
Mm.
had to be covered. So I remember the days being on birth control where it cost an arm and a leg and it was really hard to get it. That stopped in 2010. 2013, women can finally serve in combat. 2017, the Me Too movement,
Mhm.
big. 2020, obviously, we had our first female vice president and future nominee, right?
Mhm.
2021, this is when all those studies came out that women were starting to dominate in higher education, which we're going to talk about a little bit more.
Mhm.
And then we have all these amazing people just breaking all of these records. We have Simone Biles. We have, all of these just incredible female
Mhm.
athletes and business women, kind of across the board.
Hmm.
2025, women are leading then in graduate education,
Yep.
right? So, and we're going to get into some of those numbers, but it's crazy.
Yep.
But then this year, Women's History Month, the theme is moving forward together. Um, we're seeing some funding cuts for the office on violence against women, which is a
Mm.
little bit concerning. And then also the Colorado Survivor Justice Act, which would offer sentencing relief to women imprisoned for crimes connected to their own victimization, which is something I'll get to. It was introduced in February, and it's being opposed by all 23 elected district attorneys in the state,
Wow.
which is honestly, that's sad to me. Even as a female, so I am a female provider. I 100% believe women. We've done cases. I know
Yeah.
women can be the predominant aggressor, but not at the rate of
Yeah.
men and not with the same lethality.
Right.
So there's your 2-second history lesson.
There you go. Thank you.
Anything surprising? Anything you didn't know?
No, I feel like I've heard most of this,
Okay.
if not all of it. Yeah.
So I think a great place to start is just to say, we did the damn thing. Women
Mhm.
are amazing. I say that like I did. I didn't do anything. I just got to kind of go do things because
Right.
the people before me opened a lot of doors for me. But
Mhm.
right now, and some of this research is from 2024 and then some up to today,
Mhm.
47% of women ages 25 to 34 hold a bachelor's degree or higher
Wild.
versus 37% of men.
Hmm.
Women make up 60% of total undergrad enrollment. 66% of women graduate college versus 58% of men.
Mm.
Women have outpaced men in bachelor's degree completion every year since the mid 80s.
Wow.
And women now outnumber men in law school, medical school, vet school, and other professional programs.
Yeah. I've heard all this. And you know what's funny? My family's a representation of this.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom went to college. I went to college and got my master's. My sister went to college. My dad did not finish college. He went, but did not finish. Neither one of my brothers went to school. My oldest brother, who's in his late 50s, just did like some, I don't know, bachelor's or even like an associate's, but it's like something super random. I don't
So the
even know
women,
what it is.
the women in your family were pulsing, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I did not marry someone who went to school. Yeah, no. All the women in my family went to school and none of the men did.
Well, and I'm so proud of what my husband accomplished in college.
Hmm.
But similarly, I was looking at law schools when Gare was deciding to go get his bachelor's. So, I mean, he has, caught up in so many ways. But I mean, I was like you, I was like shot out of a cannon. I was like, let's
Hmm.
go. Minimum master's degree. I just kind of, I went straight through,
Oh,
straight.
I knew how to do college, but I did not know I
Oh,
would get my master's. I had no idea
mm-mm.
until I did it.
Oh, I kind of knew that I would, I think, but I don't know, it choked me up in the training just to think about, Tina's like a therapist without a degree. And she's the best one around. But having a stay-at-home mom who championed everything I wanted to do and having a father he would never say he's a feminist, but he's a literal feminist. He's supported everything I've ever done. It's wild, I think, to sit in these spaces in these high-level trainings and things with women and men, and there's like two men.
Hmm.
So, what do you think, Nat, when you look at this education, these stats, with the women you work with clinically, what are you noticing in them? And what do you see in terms of the gap between what they've achieved and sometimes how they're treated?
Hmm. That's an interesting question.
Like, what's happening with our educated women?
Well, what's interesting is I work with a lot of stay-at-home moms
Mm,
because I mean, we work in Parker. So like
yeah.
very white collar,
Mhm.
it's not like when we worked in Denver and Lakewood and all that. But um yeah, I think all of them are educated, but most of them are stay-at-home moms.
We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Southeast Counseling Center. Southeast Counseling Center is a 501c3 nonprofit mental health provider right here in Parker, Colorado, conveniently located just off major highways. We serve the whole family, from play therapy for kids to couples and family therapy, trauma treatment, psychological testing, and specialized groups. Access matters. That's why Southeast Counseling Center accepts Medicaid, TriWest, and victim compensation, and also offers a community subsidy program to help people who fall in the gap between Medicaid and traditional insurance coverage. And because we're a nonprofit, every dollar donated by the community goes directly towards providing treatment services for people who need help. Prefer to meet at home? Telehealth is available statewide so anyone in Colorado can access our services. To get started, call 720-842-5553 or fill out our secure web inquiry form at secounseling.org. Southeast Counseling Center, care that is accessible, compassionate, and rooted in the community.
I only have one stay-at-home mom on my caseload. However, the one that I have also does other things too.
Mm.
And so, I mean, like, helps out in different ways and has some different paid things, just works from home too. But yeah, I mean, it's even that's interesting,
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
yeah.
Um,
And demographically, it's different. Like I remember when I worked in Denver, that looked very different.
yes.
I'm thinking of some of the other individuals that I have that are women. A lot of them are like stay-at-home moms, but they do have their degrees. And then some of the younger women I work with, like 20s, I say
Mhm.
younger, but 20s, people in their 20s, they went to school and they're working full time and all of that. But
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I'm seeing a little bit of a shift.
Hmm.
So I think Gen X, and I could be totally wrong. I have zero research behind what I'm about to say,
Yeah.
um, to to refer to, but I think Gen X, well, baby boomers and Gen X, especially for women, um, all these things happened where it was empowerment for women and getting, more equality going.
Oh yeah.
I'm seeing a shift now where women want to stay home.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's hard to do it all.
Hmm.
It's hard to do it all and to do it well. And we're going to talk about some of the pieces to that. But I have a theory, and I think you'll probably agree with most of it. Maybe not all of it, most of it. Men feel pretty lost right now. And I think it's okay to be,
I agree with this.
I think
You know, I've
it,
talked about it.
and particularly, I would say we see this in our domestic violence groups, especially because when we're talking about power and control, the things that used to make those lines a little bit more clear
Hmm.
are blurred now in terms of income. And a lot of times in families, it's back and forth. And I don't know how people are making it on one income in Colorado, honestly. Unless you have an inheritance or a trust fund or something, you cannot be a self-made person.
Or you just make a ton of money.
Well, but that's what I mean, though. But you have to be like,
Yeah. With the
I mean,
1%.
the latest research I saw is the poverty level in Douglas County based on the expense of housing is 100 grand.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
you got
That's
to make like 250, 300 to actually live on one income comfortably, where you're not just dying because of how
yeah.
expensive it is. So, one of the things I think is that men are struggling to find their role. They are fathering and parenting their children more than any generation before them, which is the
Awesome.
coolest thing to see, and they're excited about it.
Mhm.
I can see a shift even in the almost 20 years I've been a clinician.
Yeah.
to working with men in, 2007 when everything crashed to now,
Right. Right.
and seeing how men are showing up for their kids with a lot of tenderness and interest in how they're doing, and they want to know more about development. And it's just very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
One
Mm-hmm.
of my fears about the shift back is I think women are exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
The emotional burden, the load, we were laughing during this presentation even because it's like, do we really do everything or do we just think we're the only one who can do it right?
Right.
And I think about you hovering over Preston while he's putting on Gray's shoes. It's like he knows how to put on Gray's shoes, but like we
I
just
know.
we just want to do it because we know how, even if it's something that's easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think women are wanting a bit of a break from the pressure of doing all of it, but I also think men are really wanting to be in control too. And so we're seeing domestic violence go through the roof. And
Mm-hmm.
my fear with some of the women returning home is they're trying to just get back in line because I think it's stressful at home. So I think there's a little bit of both. There's a
Yeah,
little bit of both.
I could see that. I also think sometimes the opposite of like because there's been this big shift, I see a lot of men who aren't working and
Oh, yeah.
depend on their wives to do all the work.
Oh,
I
well,
see
I
it.
think that's why women are kind of like, bet I'm going to stay home and see what you do,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But the
Well,
DV cases have gotten insane.
yes.
And here's what makes me nervous. So the trad wife thing makes me nervous because we also have the manosphere. And there's a new documentary on Netflix, and Lisa told me about it. Inside the manosphere or into the manosphere, something like that. I'm gonna watch it. I will report back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd watch it too. But I think women, part of feminism is women should be able to do whatever the hell they want to do. If they want to stay home, awesome. You want to go to work, awesome. And I got in a fight with a poetry professor at Boulder one time about this because I was like pre-law, taking all these classes, wanting to do all the things, never a doubt in my mind I'd go to grad school, whatever. But she made a comment that women should do everything that they can do because of the women who came before. And my comment was real feminism would suggest that women could support each other no matter what we choose to do. That if we work, that's wonderful. If we're home, that's wonderful. If we do a 50-50, cool, that we'll support each other. And I would love to see more women be able to do a little bit of both. And I do think we're going to see more of that. And COVID opened that door in many
Yeah.
ways,
I agree.
where it's like you don't actually have to be in an office 9 to 5. That's incredible. That was not an option before COVID in so many ways.
Mhm.
So, anyway, Nat, break down the workplace since we've gotten into it.
So 8.2% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women as of 2026. That's pretty impressive.
Well, it's impressive and sad. I mean, here's the thing. When we were
Impressive? Well, yeah,
think
impressive
about
that
it,
it's grown.
8 and 100, it grew from what?
Zero.
Zero? Here's the issue, okay? When we need to hire a male therapist, we post a management job and then we talk them into being a therapist because they're fresh out of school.
No, that is funny. I actually shared that with someone the other day because they're like, "Oh, you guys have that position open." And I was like, "Yeah, it's funny."
We post both. We'll post a therapist and a manager, and all the men apply for the manager job.
Yeah, well, and it's like LPCCs.
Oh, they're like fresh out of school. Like the ink's
Yeah,
not dry on their diploma, and
yeah,
they're like, I could be
yeah,
in management.
yeah. I'm like, "No, sir. No, nope,
Ugh,
nope."
I hate to see it.
I know. I'm glad it's growing though. I'm glad women are getting CEO positions, and I hope to see it grow.
I also think women are starting businesses, which is great. Go be your own CEO. That's what
Yes.
we're doing. Go be your own CEO.
Yeah. Women represent nearly 60% of college students, which we kind of got into already, but hold less than a third of senior management roles, which sucks
Mm-hmm.
because we're getting the degrees, but not the positions.
Yeah, I'd never heard the term the glass cliff. Have you heard that term?
No, I haven't, but essentially, it's women are disproportionately given leadership roles during crisis, setting them up to fail when things go sideways.
Yeah,
That sucks.
been there. Literally know what that feels like. Didn't know what it was called. What a shit show.
Um,
Hate that.
yeah, gender pay gap. This has been a thing. We already kind of talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it worsened in 2024 for the second straight year in the US. That's interesting. I could see that.
We'll be right back.
If you work with court-ordered clients, you already know the system can be overwhelming. Documentation, coordination, compliance tracking, billing, on top of actually doing the therapy. That's why we want to tell you about Reliatrax, a one-stop platform built specifically for therapists working in the court-ordered space and voluntary treatment. Reliatrax helps you stay connected with probation and referral sources so everyone's on the same page and your clients get the best care possible without the endless emails, calls, and paperwork. And here's the exciting part. Reliatrax now offers Aura, their new AI assistant. Aura helps streamline documentation, keeps you organized, and supports your workflow so you can spend less time clicking boxes and more time doing clinical work. Reliatrax also supports insurance billing, including Medicaid, making it easier to serve both court-ordered and voluntary clients all in one system. No juggling platforms and no workarounds. And the other amazing thing is you have an actual team of people who can support you, not some automated system. If you're looking for a smarter, more efficient way to manage compliance, communication, and care, Reliatrax was built for this. Check out Reliatrax and see how it can support you, your clients, and the systems you work in without burning you out. You can go to www.reliatrax.com to get started. I think it's COVID. I think so many women went home with COVID because the kids were home,
Yeah.
right? And then they're trying to get back into the workforce. And I think that we're not paid as much.
I would be interested to see how many divorces happened during COVID versus like any other year.
The research in 10 years now that's going to come out about COVID is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, well, we're creating a whole new scoring system for DV because it's just been insane since COVID.
Yes.
It never went back to what it was before, which
Mm-mm.
that's wild to me.
I know.
Asian American women make 96 cents to the white male dollar. White women make 77 cents, and black women make 65 cents to the white male dollar. So that's unfortunate.
Not impressive. That makes me mad, Nat.
This is why you and I are starting our own business.
Ooh, that makes me mad, Nat. Way to go, Asian women, though. Asian American women, go get them.
Yes.
The rest of us, keep fighting.
Native American women, this one's rough. 57.9 cents. Latin women, 51 cents.
Mm.
Yeah, that's rough. Women ages 25 to 34 earn 95 cents on the dollar. But by the age of 45, that drops to 72 cents. That's crazy. And I also believe it
I
because
believe it. Totally.
there's such a thing. This is why women are scared to age.
Yes.
This is why we get Botox until we're like 100 and we look
Yeah.
like Dolly Parton. And no disrespect, I love Dolly Parton and
I love her too. I love her so much.
she's beautiful, but also like this is why, because
Yeah.
our value subconsciously is very much tied to how we look. And
Yes.
the other thing, and I'm not trying to be an asshole, some of this is kind of true for men too. Like more attractive humans get more things that they want. That's just true.
Including tall privilege. That's a real thing.
Uh-huh.
In men. Not in women.
Women, you know,
Tall women will yell at a short woman for marrying a tall man. I'm sorry. The heart wants what it wants.
I've been yelled at before.
Me too.
But yeah, no, that stuff is wild. And I think it's similar with men too, but it's not the same.
Mm-mm.
Because men are already in their CEO positions by that age and they're not getting pulled from those positions.
No. But if men go looking for work after a certain age, it's really hard for them to get in.
Yeah.
Whereas older women sometimes can get into a less high paying job.
Yeah.
But that's a bitter pill for men. They've done their whole career and then they get like laid off and try to find a job. It's really stressful.
Yeah. Mothers earn 74% of what fathers earn.
Uh,
Yeah, that's wild.
mm,
Yeah. And as treatment providers, we see this play out in real life. A woman comes in,
hmm
she she gets her master's degree. She's holding her family together and she's been in the workplace for 20 years and she makes 72 cents to her partner's dollar. I said daughter. Her partner's dollar. That's pretty wild.
The thing that makes me so nuts about this, I've never worked anywhere that I didn't end up running things, at least some part of it,
Yeah.
always. And I think it's just my personality, whatever, for better or worse. When I've gotten visibility, most of the places that I've worked, it's been disappointing because this has proven true even in a female-dominated
Hmm.
industry.
Hmm.
And especially as a mom, I think it's really, really hard to take that time away from your kid. You're trying to do it all. We love our jobs. I love to work.
Hmm.
But it takes a lot more work from a woman to make what a man makes. Still,
Hmm.
oh,
Hmm.
it's frustrating.
Yeah, that is wild.
So I
Uh,
want to talk about if we did pay women what they're worth. Want to know what would happen?
what?
The economy would collapse. It
Probably.
would collapse. I
Hmm.
am just waiting for teachers to be like, we're just not going to work for 2 weeks. The entire world would collapse, but
It is.
particularly in the US.
It is wild that teachers make like next to nothing.
Unbelievable. First
I
of all,
mean,
you have a baby and you pay, let's say full-time professional childcare. You pay
mm,
like $1,500 a week, something like that for childcare. Then we send our little people into schools where there's like 30 of them picking their nose with one teacher who's making like 50 grand a year. That is nuts. Teachers are saints. Ugh.
yeah, it's gone up. I just looked it up. It's gone up approximately, it's like 68,000, but that's like, well,
No.
now it says, hold on, the starting salary for the first year for teachers in Colorado is 55.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah, you can work your way up, but it takes a minute.
It takes a minute. Now, entry therapists also really don't make very good money. But that it's just unbelievable to me that we trade off like the in-home daycare is X amount, and then we put them in school where they're supposed to be watched and taught. It's unbelievable. Some of my most favorite clients are teachers, truly. I love them. And
Same.
they are brave warriors, and I think they should take 2 weeks off and we'll start paying them more.
I know.
Women globally perform 3 times more unpaid domestic labor than men. So what that means is in a day, now this is not true in my house. I want to be very clear. My husband is a true partner to me,
Mhm.
and I'm thankful for him every day. But I'm aware that that is not the norm.
Yeah.
Most women put in 5.7 hours a day more just on like housework and house stuff.
Mhm.
And even working mothers, when they controlled for both parties working,
Mhm.
women put in an extra 20 hours a week versus a man's 12 hours a week in the at-home stuff. And we do hear this in groups. Unfortunately, and this is probably overrepresented in DV groups, but we'll hear like, I don't know what she does all day. Like,
Oh
I
my God.
come home and I'm like, well, does she work? Well, yeah, but different hours or part-time or whatever. And I'm like, oh my
No, it makes me crazy.
God,
I
sir.
also have a very equal home.
Yes.
Honestly, press is probably, well, it's pretty equal because I have my 2 days that I work from home, but
Mhm.
I mean, I do one morning of drop off. He drops off and picks up
Yep.
the other days that she goes somewhere,
Gare does that too.
and he gets her to bed on
Mhm.
my nights that I'm in the office.
And then I think if you and I didn't have those days at home, like I'm thankful because I can do something those days a little better. You and I have a commute, which makes a difference too, but we have very good husbands. I think that a lot of women are trying to do absolutely everything.
Yeah, it's
If
crazy.
compensated at minimum wage, women's unpaid labor would cost the economy trillions of dollars. So when the kids came home during COVID, it was women who really left the workforce at
Mm.
higher rates than men. They just kind of answered
Yeah.
that call. And Black and Hispanic women in particular had the least access to backup childcare or flexibility or paid leave. And look, they're making half as much.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that just breaks my heart. And then what I think we're seeing is as they try to get back into the workforce, they're just paid less.
Yeah.
They're just paid less. So take us into some of the medical.
All right. So here's some medical stuff. I've known what we're going to go over, at least parts of it. So the most dangerous developed country, the US is the most dangerous developed country to give birth in, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So 22.3 deaths per 100,000 live births in
Mm-hmm.
the US in 2022,
Mm.
up to 17.4 in 2018.
It's going up.
No, I know, dude.
It just makes me so mad. I don't. When I find out that they had topical lidocaine for the nonsense that they do to women, I was like, we don't talk. Why don't we give this to every woman? What are you doing? We just don't take care of women in America. I'm sorry. This part's terrible.
For Black women, it's 50.3 deaths per 100,000, more than double the national rate. And this, we're talking about moms here, talking about maternal deaths. You know, I don't know if I should share this, but I'm going to. I don't think she would care. My sister-in-law almost died giving birth to the twins.
Mm,
She had HELP syndrome.
mm.
She was like preeclamptic and then it turned into HELP syndrome. And she was like literally like dying. It was crazy.
It was
I
really
rushed
scary.
down, but it's like, why is this such a thing in the US?
Mm.
Homicide and suicide account for 11% of maternal deaths. Maternal mortality projected to increase 21 to 24%.
So, Nat, tell the people why it's so dangerous to be pregnant in terms of your intimate partner. Why is that such a dangerous time?
Well, domestic violence goes up when you're pregnant and it
Why?
becomes more lethal. I don't really know why. I think it's because, well, women have a lot more hormonal shifts, to be honest.
Mm.
Um, I think men don't understand those hormonal shifts all the time. I think good men do, or I shouldn't say understand, but can have empathy for that. And this might not be true, but I think there's like a weird jealousy sometimes that men get.
No, that is the research. That is
Yeah.
true. It is
Okay.
actual jealousy because men get unseated as the top priority
Mhm.
in many homes when the baby comes, I would say in all homes. And some of them
Mhm.
just deal with that great. Some of them not so much.
It's so weird to me because, the fact that you and I do DV work is interesting because I've never been in a household where there's been jealousy because of a baby or anything like this. And then I married a man who was like obsessed with me being pregnant
Oh yeah.
and is obsessed with our daughter, so it's just like I think of that like men being jealous of,
Oh.
being dethroned. I'm like, I'm sorry, but like grow up. That's crazy.
Oh,
That's
but it's
crazy.
common. I would say, unfortunately, Nat, our experience is a minority. And I think it's why we can do this work and work with these really high risk clients is because
Mhm.
we don't have a personal dog in the fight in the sense that that's
Yeah,
not knocking on my trauma door. And there are some
right.
incredible clinicians who can. They've done the work
Right.
and they
Yeah.
show up even with more insight than we can because we don't know
And
what that feels
empathy.
like and
Hmm.
empathy, right? But I do think one of the things that makes us sturdy DV providers is that we don't go home to this. I have
Hmm.
never gone home to this, and I think it protects me every day. My
Yeah.
psyche. I think it protects my psyche a little bit doing this work.
100%. It's wild. It's
But
just
it's
wild. And it
dangerous.
makes
And I just saw my first case. So when we talk, we're not getting into abortion. We're not going to talk about that ever on the pod, really. But what I will say is I just saw my first ever case where it was super explicit that that was what the goal was. But I saw that and it really kind of struck me as I'm not surprised we would see that with some of the things that are going on, but it took my breath away a little bit because we know in the research that's a thing, but I haven't seen it spoken about that explicitly. It's wild.
Oh yeah, it's wild. It's so wild. But yeah, no, it's sad that that's the reality for women. And
Mhm.
like you and I have worked, I think most TV providers have worked with individuals where they've abused their partner while their partner is pregnant because again, DV goes up.
It goes up. It does. So speaking of domestic violence, couple things here that I want to cover because this is literally our hearts right here. This is what we care about the most is prevention of some of the statistics I'm going to share. There's 12 million domestic violence incidents per year in the US.
Mm,
That's 24 victims every single minute.
mm,
Every
that's
minute. So we've been talking for what, 30 minutes? I'm not good at math. What's 30 times 24? A lot.
mm.
That's a lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
1 in 3 women will experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime. 55% of female homicide victims are killed by a current or former
Mhm.
intimate partner. We have some friends on the Fatality Review Board in Colorado for domestic violence, and here were some of the findings in 2025. And it was my first time hearing them at this meeting that I was at. And at least half of the perpetrators had a prior DV arrest or warrant before the fatal incident.
Crazy.
But I would expect that to be a lot higher. It makes me
Yeah.
very nervous and
Yeah.
lines up with what we know that it's not, though.
Right. Right.
Only 20% had a prior DV conviction.
Yeah. That's wild.
The system knew but hadn't acted, meaning they didn't get convicted or it was sealed or whatever, right?
Mm.
13% were under active court supervision at the time of the fatality. 30% or more had been on probation or pretrial at some point. All 8 collateral victims were children, ages 3 months to 7 years. All 8 collateral victims. 5 of those 8 kids were subjects of active custody disputes between their parents.
That makes me angry.
Well, this is something that you and I are definitely getting involved in more and more because if we can bring a civil case to a humane end, meaning a fair representation of both parties and understanding of what's gone on, appropriate recommendations, we might be able to cool off some of these situations and land in a safer place.
Mhm.
Civil court involvement was significantly correlated with higher fatality counts,
Mm.
right? So I think it's just important to consider when we're talking about the family courts. When we bring up parental alienation, and parental alienation was a real buzzword years ago, right?
Mhm.
It got weaponized in the courts sometimes by abusive people. Not always, right?
Mhm.
Either parent could alienate, but it got way overplayed. And
Mhm.
so what happened was women ended up losing custody 73% of the time when the courts began to accept the parental alienation claims.
Mm.
And that led to Caden's law, which we have now in basically giving children a little bit more of a voice and not assuming it's alienation. That if someone, either parent, has been
Mhm.
an abusive parent and the child, an abusive partner and an abusive parent in many cases, and the child wants to be with the parent they deem safe, that's not always alienation. Sometimes the kid just knows,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So perpetrators often use litigation as a weapon,
Mhm.
financial, emotional, and physical exhaustion tactics, right? If you have to go to court all the time, you're missing work. So if women, and again, this can work either way.
Yeah.
But women in particular, if we're making, typically 77% or less on the dollar, and we're missing work and we're going to court and doing all the stuff, it just gets really exhausting. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes either parent tries to wear the other one out with litigation even.
Yeah. Yeah.
DV victims often face accusations of being mentally ill, right?
Mhm.
And people lie. People shouldn't lie in court, but they do.
Mhm.
And then court officials often lack robust DV training, and then they can end up enabling the coercion, the very coercion that they're supposed to be protecting people from.
Mhm.
70 to 80% of women in the prison system experienced intimate partner violence as adults. And women who kill their abusive partners get 15 to 20-year sentences, whereas men get 2 to 6 years for similar conduct.
That's crazy.
Women, so there's this perception. Like our men's groups would be shocked to hear that. They'd be like, "That's not a
Yeah.
thing."
We should tell them.
It's the thing. Oh, I'm putting on the same presentation that you all are hearing right now. We're probably going to put on Monday for our guys because I
Yeah.
don't think they understand this. The Survivors Act is actually pretty important, and I want to be very clear. I'm not for people killing people. Okay, that's not a thing.
Right. Right.
I've made that very clear. But what I do think is there are times in really, really terrible situations that it may be one or the other is going to
Mhm.
die. And it's typically the woman statistically. And some women would rather take an action than be killed.
Mhm.
And it doesn't feel fair for those women to then be in prison forever.
Mhm.
Or men if the shoe's on the other foot. And I've seen a couple pretty intense cases that way too.
Right.
So, kind of to bring it to close, I want to bring in some good things. Okay.
Okay.
So, Nat,
Love
what do
it.
we like about being a woman? What's good about being a woman?
I had a baby.
Hmm. Which is,
The best part. The
well,
best
it's
thing about
the
being a woman.
coolest. Is
I
that
know
not
it's
the
the best
coolest
thing
thing?
about being a woman. It's crazy. I say crazy a lot to this episode. Sorry, Gare. I know you're gonna call me out on it.
Oh, he will. He's
Uh,
gonna be like, Natalie.
Stop saying that. But it's wild because the things that your body can do for as women, it's like it's just so wild. I mean, you like look at how a baby's made like in your body and then they come out and you're like, "Oh my gosh."
I think about all the times I like put my hand on your stomach when she was kicking and and
Ah, it's so
and and
cool.
then she was a human, like just like
Was She was doing her little shoulder dance in my
she was
tummy.
doing her shoulder, her food dance, her little shoulder food dance.
Oh my gosh, she was doing the funniest dance at dinner.
Oh, she's like her
Every
mama.
time I gave her a little bite of French fry, she would do her shoulder dance.
Well, it's so funny because Nat told me that, and I'm like, you have a food dance. You love when you get some good food, especially when we
Especially
haven't eaten.
French fries. Yeah, especially French fries. That's my that's my like comfort food.
I think that women, when it goes well, so we've talked about, and we literally had the Mean Girl episode last week.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about when it goes bad, how bad it can be. It can be so bad.
Yeah.
But I have never in my life had better female friends than I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is because I think I grew up out of the nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody, nobody is going to love you and your babies like a really good female friend
Mm-hmm.
who also is trying to raise kids. Like it really is a village. It's really special.
Like a different connection.
It's a different
I
connection.
didn't know it until I had a baby, and now I have all these like friends who were friends from his like my back in the day,
Mhm.
and now we're like, let's go do this, let's go do that, and I'm like, oh, this is what that was like. I have another good friend who just had a kiddo right before me, a little bit like couple months before me,
Mm.
and she was funny. She was like, I went to my other friend who has some older kids, and she was like, I am so sorry I was not around
Mm.
for you or your kids. I just didn't know. And you just don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah, it's sad, but there's so much grace there because then when you do it, you're like, I'm not mad, you know?
No, no, but it is really, it's an interesting thing
Hmm.
to go through. And I'm so sad that women are so hard on the very bodies that do this miraculous thing, because it's like, I will never look like I did before I had a baby, but I'm also a superhuman. So we joke about things and everything else, but I'm amazed by my body. I take better care of my body. I think what I've was able to figure out and do is so amazing, and it was not without a lot of trial too. And I know that not all women get to be a mom, and I think my encouragement on that front is there is something so special about how women think and
Mm,
connect. And I don't think you have to be a mom to be maternal and loving. And oh my gosh, some of my friends who don't have kiddos are some of the best with the kiddos, which is
yeah,
so amazing to
yeah.
watch. And, you know, I think of our women's group. Our men's group is cool in so many ways, and they challenge each other and they're hilarious. And there's so many things I love about our men's groups. But our women's groups, the
Dip.
way that they show up for each other and track each other's stories. And before you joined Nat with me, one of the gals was pregnant and had a baby, and they brought stuff from home. Like they shared things, and they cook for each other, and they tell stories, and it's just really beautiful. So I love being a woman, even with this hard history.
Mhm.
Women are just tough. We're tough. We're physically strong. And I think if you are in a position where you're in an unsafe relationship, or maybe you're pregnant and things are getting pretty tough at home, please, 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 please get support, get the help that you need. And I want to thank Sandy Campanella for all of this information. She did this PowerPoint and she talked about her own beautiful mother who just she lost her mom a year ago,
Mhm.
about a year ago. And this beautiful, strong, badass of a woman who I just have so much respect for was tearing up talking about how her incredible mother, who did stay home and was like just a killer homemaker and loved it, and worked so hard to make things so good at home for her children, but also told her daughter, if you're going to compete with men, beat them. Get out there and compete.
Yeah.
Compete with the men. And so she goes in the military, and then she becomes a
Aw,
cop, and
yeah.
it's just very, very cool. And I know we were all sitting there just being thankful,
Yeah.
thankful for the women in our lives. And so you're one of the women I'm most thankful for.
Thanks. You too, girl.
I know you're a homie for sure.
Oh yeah. We better be. We've been doing this for a while now.
I know we do. We spend a crazy amount of time together. I would not spend this much time with anybody else.
No.
No.
Yeah, you and my family.
Oh, thanks for joining me, love. And thank you, Forensic Friends, for hanging in there with us as we gear up for CrimeCon. We'll
Mm-hmm.
be talking about the book and the merch. We might put some polls up there to get your opinions on some things. But we're excited. We're excited to see
Yeah.
y'all there.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Janine. Thanks for bringing Sandy's presentation to our followers so we can all hopefully learn something new and challenge our brains a little bit. Appreciate you. And as always,
Bye, Forensic Friends, especially the girls. Bye. I'm Janine.
and I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening, and join us next week for more crime, psychology, and heart.